It's Tuesday, July 14th. In the headlines, Jamaica receives the prestigious Esri President's Award for its innovation in GIS technology. In business news, Commerce Ministry says micro, small and medium-sized enterprises to benefit from NARA, the National Reconstruction and Resilience Authority. Regionally, we take a look at Is There Not a Cause? Venezuela Relief Mission. And in sports, Elaine Thompson-Herah leads Jamaican squad at Budapest Memorial Meet. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. Jamaica has copped the prestigious Esri President's Award. The country is being recognized for its use of technology in disaster management. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness is currently in San Diego, California, accepting the award on behalf of the island. Dr. Holness says the award recognizes the work of public servants, technical professionals, and partners who have bolstered the country's disaster preparedness and response through the use of mapping technology and data. He says Geographic Information Systems, or GIS, are improving planning, emergency coordination, and recovery efforts, while helping the government make better informed decisions that benefit Jamaicans. Speaking at the conference, the Prime Minister highlighted the growing role of GIS in national development.
Once you have that intelligence of what happened, when it happened, to whom it happened to, where did it happen, and you start to solve this big question of why, then you're able to predict what will happen next. You're able to plan, you're able to organize, you're able to structure. And the development challenge, it is about being able to organize, to plan, and to structure, to bring order to your national assets, the challenges that you face. So the government of Jamaica has embraced GIS, and we have integrated this into almost all our operations.
Dr. Holness also discussed Jamaica's use of GIS with Rashawn Clark of Spatial Innovation Limited, describing data and innovation as essential tools in building a more resilient and modern Jamaica.
So we have used spatial data management to be able to map our roads, measure what we have, determine the state that they're in, and that data will then get put into our database where we can now start to plan which roads do we really need to focus on first, and to develop a maintenance schedule, and then to develop a budget to match that maintenance schedule.
While welcoming the international recognition, Prime Minister Holness said it also serves as a reminder that more work remains to strengthen the country's resilience. Jamaica's 64th independence celebrations will be held under the theme United in Celebrating Resilience, with a packed calendar of cultural events culminating in the Independence Grand Gala on August 6. Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport Minister Olivia Grange unveiled the program, saying this year's theme reflects the strength and unity Jamaicans have shown, particularly in recovering from the effects of Hurricane Melissa. Among the highlights is the Jamaica Festival Song Competition, which is celebrating its 60th anniversary. She is encouraging the public to support this year's finalists by watching the televised programs and voting ahead of the results show on July 25. The Independence Program also includes the National Emancipation and Independence Thanksgiving Service on July 26, the Civil Emancipation Jubilee on July 31, and Independence Village at the National Stadium Complex from August 1 to August 6. The 6-day celebration will feature the Miss Jamaica Festival Queen coronation, the Jamaica Gospel Star Grand Finale, Merry-Go-Round, Independence Soul Tuesday, Bingo, Dominoes and Games Night, before culminating with the Independence Grand Gala on August 6. Minister Grange says all events will be streamed live, inviting Jamaicans at home and in the diaspora to celebrate the nation's resilience and proudly mark Jamaica's 64th year of independence. The Jamaica National Reserve is stepping up its operational readiness with the start of its 2026 annual training camp, bringing together reservists from across the Caribbean and the United States for 2 weeks of military exercises and community engagement. The camp began on Monday and will run until July 26. It features tactical air and land maritime training, disaster response exercises, leadership development, peace support operations, and specialist military instruction. Activities will also include community outreach, youth engagement, and medical support initiatives in Kingston, St. Anne, and Portland. Camp Director Major Marlon Kennedy says the exercise represents the Reserve's principal period of active duty and is designed to strengthen the Jamaica Defense Force's operational readiness. In this week's Living Healthy report, we look at lifelong learning that saves lives inside the World Health Organization's Academy's simulation-based training. The WHO Academy transforms healthcare training by blending immersive, simulation-based education with accessible digital learning. Operating out of its state-of-the-art campus in Lyon, France. Commerce Ministry says micro, small and medium-sized enterprises to benefit from the National Reconstruction and Resilience Authority. We get the details and much more in the world of business from Denise Williams.
Welcome to today's business report. I'm Denise Williams, bringing you the developments shaping markets, capital access, and business decision making across Jamaica and the region. Let's get into the stories that matter. Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, Senator Auburn Hill, wants micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises, MSMEs, to position themselves to benefit from major opportunities expected under the National Reconstruction and Resilience Authority, NARA. The minister predicted that Jamaica could see 6.5 to 20 billion US dollars in investment over the next 5 to 7 years and encouraged MSMEs to take advantage of that potential growth. Senator Hill, speaking at the New Testament Church of God Kingdom Builders Business Expo in Old Harbour, St. Catherine, urged small business owners to formalize their operations and prepare to provide goods and services for upcoming infrastructure projects. He said NARA will oversee billions of dollars in contracts, creating opportunities for local enterprises in areas such as transportation, food supply, and other support services. For the trading period of July 13, 2026, the most actively traded securities were Wigton Energy Limited with 5,719,315 units, or 24.8% of market sales activities. Trans-Jamaica Highway Limited with 5,443,095 units, representing 23.6% of market sales activities. Sagicor Select Funds Limited Financial with 2,388,440 units, representing 10.36% of market sales activities. Investor activity remains concentrated in transportation and finance plays, signaling continued interest in dividend-producing and strategic assets. Turning to the foreign exchange market based on Bank of Jamaica data for July 13, 2026. Forex traders recorded significant activity with strong demand across major currencies. For the US dollar, trading margins reflected steady liquidity, with the US selling at $159.70 and buying at $157.63. For the Canadian dollar, moderate gains supported by $6.20 transaction spreads. The Canadian dollar sold for $113.79 and was bought for $107.59. For the British pound, continued volatility offered short-term trading opportunities of $4.35 in profits for the banks. The British pound sold for $213.96 and was bought for $209.61. These movements underscore the importance of cash flow timing and currency awareness for businesses managing import costs, debt servicing, or overseas exposure. For our credit report tip of the day, your interest rate could be costing you more than money. When most people compare loans, they focus on the monthly payment. While that is important, the interest rate attached to a credit card, personal loan, or microfinance loan can have a much broader financial impact. Higher interest rate increase the overall cost of borrowing, leaving less room in your budget to repay debt quickly. As balances remain high or payments become difficult to manage, your credit score can begin to suffer. For example, a credit card with a high interest rate can make it harder to reduce your balance, resulting in higher credit utilization, a key factor in credit scoring. A high-interest personal or microfinance loan may strain your cash flow, increasing the likelihood of late or missed payments, which can significantly damage your credit profile. In contrast, borrowing at a more affordable interest rate allows you to repay debt faster, maintain a healthier financial position, and build a stronger credit history. Borrow wisely, repay consistently, protect your credit. Your future borrowing power depends on it. In our funded and focused feature, artificial intelligence is changing the funding landscape for entrepreneurs. Banks and other lenders are using AI to evaluate credit risk, cash flow, and repayment capacity more quickly. For entrepreneurs, this means funding readiness has never been more important. Strong financial records, clear business strategies, measurable results, and accurate documentation are becoming essential in an AI-driven funding environment. The same technology can also work in an entrepreneur's favor by helping to improve business plans, strengthen financial projections, and develop more compelling funding proposals. As AI reshapes access to capital, businesses that combine innovation with preparation will be best positioned to secure loans, attract investment, and win grant funding. And that's today's business report. I'm Denise Williams, bringing clarity to capital markets and strategy. Until next time, stay informed, stay intentional, and keep building forward. See you soon.
In regional news, Martinique has officially taken its seat at the Caribbean Community, Caricom, for the first time as an associate member, marking a new chapter in regional integration. The milestone came during the opening ceremony of the 51st regular meeting of the Conference of Heads of Government in St. Lucia, following Martinique's ascension as the community's 7th associate member on June 16. President of the Executive Council of Martinique, Serge Letchimy, described the occasion as the beginning of a new phase, saying the focus must now shift from membership to action through increased business, investment, and regional cooperation. As an associate member, Martinique will now have a more structured framework for collaboration with Caricom states, with plans to expand economic partnerships, investment, mobility, and regional cooperation, while strengthening links between the Caribbean, the Americas, Europe, and Africa. In Trinidad and Tobago, Avanel Hector Joseph, founder of ITNAC, discusses the organization's humanitarian mission to Venezuela under the theme, "Is There Not a Cause? Venezuelan Relief Mission." She outlines the initiative's objectives, the urgent need for humanitarian support, and how individuals and organizations can contribute to providing relief to vulnerable communities.
The death toll from Venezuela's devastating twin earthquakes continues to rise. Authorities now say that 4,490 people have died. More than 16,700 people have been injured, and tens of thousands remain missing. Entire communities in Caracas and the coastal state of La Guaira have been reduced to rubble, with an estimated 69,400 buildings damaged or destroyed. More than 17,000 people have been left homeless as international relief efforts continue and humanitarian organizations race to assist survivors. And one Trinidad and Tobago organization was among the first from the region to respond. Just 1 week after the disaster, a team from Is There Not a Cause traveled to some of the hardest hit communities to assess the situation and deliver aid. While joining us this morning is founder Avanel Hector Joseph. Good morning, Avanel.
Good morning. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
A tad, but good.
I can only imagine. Now, Avanel, you recently returned from Venezuela, I think just a few days ago. Can you take us back to when you first arrived? What was the scene like in La Guaira and Catilamar?
Well, the obvious word that comes to mind is destruction. Disaster responses is nothing new to ITNAC. Is that, of course, we've been on the ground in Haiti, I've been to the tsunami, Irma, and all of that in the US, all over the region, as recent as Melissa. So you see it on TV, with the computers and stuff, and like previous disasters, like many, many years ago, you didn't have all those visuals, so you wasn't always sure what you're going into, but you kind of had an idea what you're going into, because you've seen all the devastation, the images played over and over. But when you get there and you hit the ground, it's overwhelming. I remember going to one particular place and there was a gas tank that exploded. So the houses were built up, sort of like that sort of American type houses where there's just like a metal framing and a sort of board and it was just like charred. It looked like if my son built stuff with Lego and he got mad and he just mashed up everything. So nobody in that building, in those buildings, survived.
Yeah, that is a lot of trauma for you as well and your teams. Yeah. Now, as you're saying, this was a very extremely severe case and so much destruction. How do we rebuild from that? How were you able to gain access to the affected communities? What role did your local contacts even I think there was a doctor that you worked with. How did all of this work to make this mission possible?
It's very contacts on the ground is very important because some of the places were, for obvious reasons, blocked. There was one particular day we couldn't go in. I think the president was supposed to visit that day, but other than that, our driver, well, the doctor has an access pass because she works there, and our driver, by God's, we didn't even know, by God's divine grace, he had an access pass. So we were able to actually go in. And a lot of the places that you see, we've actually been outside of those buildings, just standing there with persons waiting. So
you needed an access pass for some of
the places, yes, to be able to drive in. Because it was blocked up. We were doing active search and rescue.
Mm-hmm. You also mentioned that almost immediately after the earthquake, people began reaching out to ITNAC. Now, how quickly were you able to really mobilize your team, and what prompted you to respond so urgently?
Okay, so we say in ITNAC, we are ITNAC, and we have the ability to respond. It's called responsibility, the ability to respond. And so we are part of a wider network called Response Caribbean, RICA, which we would liken to the grassroots of Caricom. So we have members all over the region. And once there's a disaster, okay, so for example, with Melissa, we were able to be pre-prepared because Melissa was coming to Jamaica. It was like a long build-up to it actually coming. So we were able to start to put things in place even before it hit. And our desire is to be on the ground within 72 hours of a disaster in the region. Of course, an earthquake is different because most you get a couple minutes, a couple hours, if so much. In this case, no warning. Mm-hmm. So immediately as it hit, our phones were pinging. Some people asked, what are we doing? And then our diehard asked, Diane asked, what are you doing? And the other people said, would it not be doing anything? And people started transferring money to the account, dropping off, asking us what would we need. And so we got a boat within a couple of days to head to Tokopita to drop off stuff. And so we were kind of like just mobilizing to just getting stuff with trusted partners on the ground, because that's one of the models that we use and have it distributed. And when the guy came, he said, well, he's going on the boat. I said, well, I know about going on no boat. You know, when he showed me the picture. I mean, if I had to, I would. But, you know, all of these things that happen. I don't want to be barbecue out in the sea for a good cause. So then he said, you know what? He might go on the plane. I said, if he go on the plane, definitely I will go. And then another member, we got 2 members and somebody from a group called Crew, associated with the Pentecostal Assemblies of the West Indies. We just decided, so we're going to go. It was a bit complicated because the airport in Caracas is not active. The tower is badly damaged. So we flew from here to Margarita, Panama, from Margarita to a place called Valencia, and then we took a 2-hour drive from Valencia to Caracas. And then every day we would go out to the different places and then come back at night, go morning, come back. We took a lot of stuff, but we also procured a lot of stuff. It's a bit expensive, but we were able to buy a lot of things. So even while I am here, we are still sending money, and there's stuff that we bought that we left there, so our team is still on the ground.
The importance of reading extends beyond a basic skill. It is also a significant economic issue. Barbados' Minister of Finance, Ryan Strawn, made the observation during his address at the opening ceremony of the Babs Reading Clinic at the Barbados Community College on Monday. Minister Strawn said reading is fundamental, not only for personal development, but also for economic participation.
The boy who cannot confidently read a job offer, a lease or business arrangement, is not simply lacking ambition. He might grow into a man lacking access. And access is something that we all can change. That is why we've set up our Ministry of Education, Ministry of Health, to ensure that nobody is disadvantaged within our system.
In sports, we're out the blocks with athletics. More than 20 Jamaicans, including several national champions, are set to participate at Tuesday's Memorial Meet in Budapest, the final World Athletics Gold level meet of the season. Leading the Jamaican contingent is 2-time Olympic sprint champion Elaine Thompson-Herah, who will line up in a star-studded women's 100 meters alongside compatriots Tina Clayton and Janelle Smith, as well as Brianna Liston. In the men's 100 meters, Akeem Blake, Nishan Ebanks, and Rohan Watson will take on the competition. Fresh national junior record holder Gary Card leads Jamaica's challenge in the men's 200 meters, joined by Michael Campbell and Dominic Williams. Meanwhile, Jamaican 400-meter record holder Nikisha Price and Crystal Slowly will contest the women's 200 meters against Olympic champion Gabby Thomas, as well as Kayla White. Let's keep the ball rolling with football. The action in FIFA World Cup 2026 continues today in the semi-final lineup, with France set to face Spain, while England will take on Argentina on July 15 for the other place in the World Cup final. England and Argentina secured the final 2 places in the semi-finals of the 2026 FIFA World Cup, with victories in their quarter-final matches on July 11. England booked their place in the last 4 after defeating Norway 2-1, ending the Norwegians' impressive tournament run and keeping alive England's hopes of winning a first World Cup title since 1966. Defending champions Argentina also advanced with a convincing 3-1 victory over Switzerland. With the tournament now down to its final teams, anticipation is building for 2 high-profile semi-final clashes featuring some of the world's biggest footballing nations. Now on to the pitch with cricket. Trinidad and Tobago's under-19 men chased down a stiff target to beat Windward Islands by 3 wickets in the West Indies Rising Stars Championship, with captain's knock from Brendan Badoo standout performance of the match.
The Windward Islands won the toss and elected to bat first. Their innings was anchored by Tyler Venner's 62 of 96 deliveries as they posted 183 for 9 in their 50 overs. Daniel Holder was the pick of the bowlers for TNT with 3 for 28. In reply, Trinidad and Tobago captain Brendan Boodoo top scored with 67, well supported by Tariq Richards' 43. Despite Aravinda Bishop's 3 for 38 bowling for the Windwards, TNT got over the line, reaching 184 for 7 in 38.5 overs, resulting in a 3-wicket win. TNT now take on Jamaica in their round 3 fixture on Wednesday, July 15th.
And that's the news on PBCJ. You can follow us on our social media platforms at PBC Jamaica. Thank you so much for watching.